Assalamu alaikum. This is Areeba Saleem. You are watching and listening the program The World of Shakespeare. This program is all about Shakespeare. We discuss Shakespeare legacy, Shakespeare's writing, Shakespeare's most famous plays and his contribution to English literature. So as far as we have covered his plays, his genres of writing, his early life, and in this particular episode we are going to talk about his most famous play, Twelfth Night, or it is also called as Or But You Will. So, if we talk about Shakespeare, so he was, an English playwright, poet, and actor. He was widely regarded as the greatest writer in English literature, and he is also known as, the national poet of England, and also known as the Bard of Avon. And when Shakespeare, when he was writing his plays, nobody knew that his plays will be read and performed even after 400 years later. So this is the legacy of Shakespeare, so that's why we are discussing and reading his play in this age as well. And in this program, my participant is Naqiya Zainab Alvi. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to this episode.
Walaikum Assalam. How are you, Riva?
I am doing good, and what about you?
Alhamdulillah.
So I am really excited about discussing Twelfth Night. So we have discussed tragedy plays like Hamlet and Othello. But right now we are going to discuss Twelfth Night, and it is one of the comedy play of Shakespeare. So if we talk about his writing, so Shakespeare wrote Twelfth Night somewhere between 1600 to 1602, and if we talk about the staging of the Twelfth Night, then it was occurred somewhere in February 1602. And also this, if we talk about the main elements of the story, then this the elements of the story are like brother sister separation, a shipwreck, and our sister dressing as a man. So in this play we are going to talk about disguise, deception, and how a woman get power through disguise. So Naqiya, let's start a discussion, and I want to start a discussion about like the historical significance of Twelfth Night, why it is celebrated even this age as well. So why it is celebrated and how it started.
Okay, basically the 12th night is the 12th night of Christmas, and it's also called the Eve of Epiphany. And it was when Maggie came to meet Jesus, and basically it's celebrated.
To give the gifts.
To give the gifts. And really, it's how it is celebrated. It's a temporary suspension of social order and these rules that control our society, right? So it gives the power to the servants, even, or even the social class don't mean some the lower social classes have the power to basically come at the top, and it is done through this basic ritual, which is they have this. It's very famous to eat this a cake, and in the cake you hide a bean or a pea.
And a pea.
Yeah. And what happens if a male person gets a pea, or a female, they become the queen, lord, or lady of the misrule, and they basically guide everyone and order everyone around, and they become the prince or king of the night, or queen of the night. So they are basically ruling that night. I have also seen this basically ritual in a series Reign, where it's basically about Queen Mary and King Francis. What happens is, before King Francis, the King of France, they have this ritual, and one of the ladies, their servants, a maid, gets the pea, and she becomes the queen of the night. Inevitably she gets killed because she takes it way too seriously. But yeah, these themes I have seen many times in our movies and series.
So this, I think this ritual has a historical significance, and it is also about celebrating, I think, with the servants.
Exactly.
This is the only time that the servants, get mixed with the, their lords or the masters. So I think this is the this basic ritual has a historical significance. It's all about celebration. And if we talk about this particular play, Twelfth Night, then this is also about a celebration. It is all about how a woman get power through disguise. We will discuss later on about this as well.
What happens exploring this theme of the 12th night, it really gives you the power to explore the characters out of the social classes, because it easily you can cross social classes, you can merge into them, and it doesn't really rank you that you are above someone or below someone. You are just on the same level. So it gives sense of equality and humanity in that as well.
All right, so let's talk about Elizabeth's attitude toward women and marriage. So as we know that at that time, the male counterpart, the father or the brother, choose a husband for a sister or or daughter. So in this particular play, we know that the the protagonist, the female protagonist, her only male relative is a helpless uncle, Sir Toby, and he has a brother, Sir Andrew, to her as a possible candidate for her marriage, which she rejected. So,
Exactly.
what is your opinion, Nakia? How Shakespeare used this scenario? He has used this scenario in other plays as
Of
well,
course.
but how, why he has used this scenario in this particular play, which is a comedy play?
Of course. So it's really interesting to me again that we have discussed this before, that Elizabeth, she was known as the Virgin Queen, right? So she didn't get married, she didn't have a progeny. But the Elizabethan society was a deeply patriarchal society, and people expected women to get married by their father's choice and have children, many children, just keep the line going. That was the role of the woman. They were predefined roles. So exploring, we have seen this theme being explored through serious elements, right, in Shakespeare's plays. To have them in a comedic sense gives you the liberty to keep it lightweight and still see those characters, give those characters powers within themselves, rather than having this tragic element to them or seriousness to them. You can give it but lightheartedness, right? So I guess giving Olivia this kind of freedom, that she didn't want to see anyone, no visitors for 7 years, and putting that heavy veil on and everything, and also Viola disguising as a man and taking that power with her, really deepens the plot, I guess.
And also, this is also stereotypical behavior towards a woman, that a woman at that time, women were seen as a creature that need tender care and protection. So this is also depicted by the Shakespeare. The Orsino expresses similar ideas to Viola, describing women as the creature that need tender care and protection. So I think this is also this thing is explored by Shakespeare, that the men used to think that women need care and shelter, and they should be in someone's possession. So what is your opinion, Nakia, that why the Shakespeare used how he gave the power to the men in his play?
To the men,
Yes.
I think the more focus was on women having the power, but
Hmm.
men having the power, because, of
Hmm.
course, at that time, men did have much power, right? Men did rule the social norms and everything. So, of course, men have those powers already. But what I find interesting is that when Viola does disguise herself as a man, she becomes a man in society, right? So she explores those things, those just the small things that women were deprived of, just speaking openly, expressing your opinions, and having a right to be angry or just be themselves and express themselves openly. That is very interesting, and that was
Yes.
already in the society, but just to see that through Viola and her disguising and exploring that, because being women, we see that, of course, there are a lot of things that we see that, no, I don't agree with this. Okay, why are we deprived of this? Why can men go at night, late at night, alone and be fearless, and we cannot? Because and just seeing those experiences Viola has, because she does these for a reason. And when she disguises herself as a man, what does she see? She sees that, okay, I have this power now. I have this, authority now. I can basically have this power and go in society.
And yes, and in one at one instance there is a dialogue, "Conceal me what I am." So this also shows the idea of disguise in the play, and also as a young woman who could be vulnerable to attack or the social assault, this is also much safer. It is much safer to disguise as a man rather than roaming around as a woman. So she took the safe side
Of
to be
course,
disguised as a man.
Of course, but I also like the fact that not only that we see that Viola disguises as a man, but also in how Olivia behaves. She is this stubborn and very willful person, which is very unladylike, like not in a ladylike way. She's very opposing to her gender, and even the person who really loves her sometimes gets really frustrated with her. Okay, that is not what you're supposed to do, because in our heads we have these predefined gender roles and gender and what is a person supposed to do, or what a male is supposed to do, what a female is supposed to do, and we try to limit that person in that box. So I really like Shakespeare exploring it outside of it, that no, we can go beyond the box and it can happen. and that just does not change their gender, that just changes their personality.
And also her intentions and actions are constantly misinterpreted, and she cannot correct her mistakes. So there is a positive side to disguise, and also there is side of some problems. So that this is also explored by Shakespeare in this play. And also she gets the chance to speak her mind freely in her disguised appearance. And this shift is more apparent in the scene when Orsino and the disguised Viola argue how men and women behave in love. Viola stand up for the women, arguing that in faith they are as true of heart as we. So in this disguised appearance, Viola stand up for the women and what they think. So she, I think, freely speak for the woman in a disguised appearance rather than in the woman appearance.
Of
Let's
course,
talk about
it's also, I would like to add in this that we see that her disguise also when it does provide her the freedom and also the safety, because traveling alone as a woman after losing her brother, she felt like prey to the men, right? She felt like she could be vulnerable to any sexual attack, assault, or something. So having that, being dressed as a man, what happened was gave her that safety that okay, she will be protected from those things. However, it also opened a lot of difficulties for her in the future because of course she falls in love with Orsino, but what happens is Orsino is in love with Olivia, which in return Olivia is in love with his who Viola is disguised as Sierra. So what happens is this creates a very troubled love triangle for her, and later she also realizes the cons, I guess, of being in this scenario. Though it had pros as well, but it also had cons in her experience. So the contrast between it is really mind blowing to me because it's
exactly.
really nice.
Let's talk about the concept of gender and sexuality in this play. So, in this play, gender and sexuality are portrayed as unstable, ambiguous, and sometimes fluid. As Simone de Beauvoir says, that one is not, but rather becomes a woman. So, I think this theme is explored perfectly by Shakespeare in this play. And also, in some cultures and in some historical periods, we see that young men would be castrated in order to reach at the higher rank, or the rank that is that has the close contact with the woman. So that was the practice. So Naqiya, how you see gender in this play?
Of course, as you described, it's very fluid, and whatever happens in this, it doesn't depend on the gender. It depends on who the person is. We see that the elements, even
They
though
speak their mind,
of course,
all the
and
characters.
exactly, it's not defined by gender roles or anything. We see that Orsino and Sierra, which is Viola's disguise as a man, we see them having a very deep and affectionate friendship, but sometimes it goes too further to have romantic elements as well. So we see that okay, these binary genders are defined. They defy it. Viola also defies it, and also because she's an Enoch, right, in the play. So what happens is that Olivia and Orsino also recognize that through her behavior and how she acts and how she speaks and goes about it. They see that okay, this person is, their gender does not matter. They are because she is seen in the play not as a complete woman and not as a complete man, because she is disguised as a man, and then she's a nuke as well.
And I think Shakespeare put them in the situation, and he tries to expose themselves, how they behave in the society, not in terms of on their gender roles, but how they behave as a woman, what she thinks, or as a man, what he thinks, and how he handle the difficult circumstances or situations, what he will do if he falls in love. So I think he explores the personality rather than the gender. He does not focuses on the gender.
Exactly. Though they did end in a very heteronormative way because it was illegal at that time to ever discuss these kind of themes. But the exploration of these themes, going into depth of it and really focusing and really just breaking down the gender and just focusing on the personality really gave, I guess, the females a lot of power in the play and a lot of significance in it as well, and just trying to have different personalities of the woman, not just a girl who is okay, ready to marry whoever her father sends her off to, but
Who
that's
surrenders to
really
the circumstances and does
exactly.
not do anything. All right, let's talk about another thing, which is folly of grief. So this play, the Shakespeare depicted the over exaggeration of grief. Olivia has suffered real loss, but her father and her brother have recently died. But she turns mourning into a over dramatic morse and public demonstration of her public suffering. So this, I think this is mocked by Shakespeare,
Of course.
that a person should not do like this.
So basically, what happens is in 12th Night, which is really interesting, that grief is not taken as seriously, but it is presented in a very foolish way.
Foolish,
Even though the loss of a father and brother is very big, but because of being so over dramatic, it becomes foolish. Like, okay, your grief is understandable, but that just shutting off yourself for 7 years and wearing a black veil and confining yourself in a room will not do you any good. Life go on and people move on. So this kind of themes are also just really, because even the fool in says that she has no need to grieve them if she believes her brother is in heaven. If she believes these themes, and she's contradicting these kind of elements she does believe in, just because she wants to dramatically display her grief in front of everyone, that okay, I am in grieving and mourning and this kind of stuff.
Also, this the Malvolio also make himself an object of scorn and ridicule as he tries to enforce a funeral atmosphere appropriate to mourning at Olivia House. So I think Shakespeare presented the grief, and we should not forget that this play is a comedy play.
Exactly.
So, and also I have read somewhere that the staging of this play was during the 12th night celebration time. So we should also consider this point that this play is a comedy play, and grief, he presented the grief in a foolish manner so that people take it in a light manner.
Exactly. So
not in a serious manner.
Yeah, even though that sometimes when Viola believes that she has lost her brother Sebastian, and Sebastian believes that she's dead, they are both wrong. So even though they are grieving, but their grief is meaningless, right? Because the audience already knows that this is the truth. So it doesn't matter if it happens, because okay, that's the audience doesn't care about it. They cares about the serious matter, which are the main plot of the story and that kind of thing. Again, Orsino grieves about Olivia not seeing him, as a potential a prospect, a suitor. But what happens is that his perfect moment turns out to be someone else entirely. So all these griefs that were in the play turned out to be either meaningless or unnecessary, or just a better thing is gonna come along. So it didn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
And also one interesting point that the fool is in the typical Shakespeare plays is one of the wisest characters. So it is not necessary that the character which is presented as a foolish character is foolish in the real sense. He has utter some words of wisdom as well, like Malvolio say, infirmity that decays the wise doth ever make the better fool. And the fool respond, God send you a speedy infirmity for the better increasing your folly. So I think the also Shakespeare explored this idea that looks doesn't matter. If a person appears foolish, does not mean that he is foolish in real life as well.
And this thing that infirmity and foolishness and just weakness of someone's mind or physical and illness and just death, even though they do bring grief, but they somehow also really enhance someone's foolishness and really bring out the foolish part of our human nature. Because of course sometimes our grief takes the better of us, and really we go to extremes just to express that okay, we are grieving, we have been hurt, and we have been just suffering of something. And we want, sometimes even in real life when we are suffering, we are like, okay, I want to shut everyone off of my life, I want to be in my own, I want to have this deep depressing thoughts. And what really is that you just have to get yourself out of that mindset. Of course sometimes life happens and these things really affect you, but there are better things to come.
Yes. And there are some symbols as well that are used by Shakespeare, because he has made use of symbols throughout his plays. So let's talk about some symbols. So the first symbol we are going to discuss is jewelry. In Twelfth Night, jewelry serves as a concrete symbol of desire and affection. So what is your opinion, Naqiya? Like in jewelry, I think in general it is also is used as a symbol of desire or affection. When we love somebody, we give them some jewelry or something of value.
Of course, I've seen in many things that giving something, gifting something valuable of something, and showing that affection part is really many how women mainly express their opinions, because at that time it was not considered like nice or decent or even for a lady to express her feelings so openly. So what they did, that there was also
They
this,
used to give some handkerchief.
yeah, handkerchief or red handkerchiefs to express their love and desires, and you know, that kind, just secretly claiming that okay, I like you. So Olivia in 12th Night really does that with Sierra when she tries to give him back a ring he supposedly left. Also she gives him a picture, like a jewelry with her picture in it, and all these kind of themes we see. Yeah, so we see that Olivia, because even though she is willful and stubborn, she's presented in the play, she does represent those the mindset of the moment at that time as well. Okay, we, that is how we express our affection and that kind of
Yes,
thing.
and in the Elizabethan era, jewelry was also used to reward servants or mark their ranks. When Benvolio fantasized about being married to Olivia, his fantasies include possession of a watch or a valuable gem. As a steward, he would probably already be wearing a heavy gold chain. So I think that this theme is also explored by the Shakespeare, that jewelry
I really like
rank.
the detail about when you are reading it, and they don't give you everything, right? Shakespeare didn't give us everything. Okay, this is basically Sierra is the favorite servant of Orsino. That's not how it is. What he does is just he plants that he was wearing a gold chain. He was wearing this kind of jewelry. So what the jewelry indicates is that Sierra was kind of a favorite servant of Orsino at that time.
And also, if we talk about clothing, the clothing is also a major sign in a 12th night, serving as a guide to wearer's character. In case of like Voila or Olivia or Malvolio or the Fool, this is the disguise of the real characters. So the clothes the characters wear, we can get an idea what this character is about, or what he is going to do in his or her life, and what power he or she holds. So I think that the clothing is also important symbol used
Of
by
course.
Shakespeare in this play. What do you think, Nakia?
Yeah, Shakespeare, the dressing really, the clothing really helps Viola first as trying to disguise as a man, make herself something out of it. Even though she does, this cross dressing really helps through, you know, that journey with on the ship. But also later on, what does it do? It really affects her relation with Orsino and Olivia. But we also see that she really makes a point of changing into women's clothing before meeting her brother, because of course she has to be a sister in that role, right? So the clothing really defined what they were feeling or what they wanted to express themselves as at that time. And really, I think even now, how we dress, how we, you know, present ourselves in society is a reflection of how we feel and what we
And
want
people
to
get the idea
exactly.
what the
So
person is about and how he thinks, how he perceives the world.
exactly. So I really like the shift of her taking that, you know, power to her by dressing as a man first, and when she wants to meet her brother and beloved, she wants to be a woman again. She wants to have that femininity and that urges again with her. So she dresses as a woman before going to meet them. So yeah, I think these are really interesting. But also we see Olivia, you know, dressing in the heavy mourning dark veil and just shutting everyone off. It really sees that she wants to create a barrier between her and everyone surrounding her, even Sierra. Even though later on she is willing to remove it and discard it, but that veil represented her shutting herself off and, you know, just going into depression and something like that. So that kind of thing.
Yes, so these were the symbols explored by Shakespeare in this play Twelfth Night. And Twelfth Night is a comedy play, and it is all about celebration. It is all about suspension of social order, mixing of servants with the lords or the masters. So this play was written in the backdrop of celebration, the Twelfth Night celebration, and it has the historical significance. And also through the historical significance and all these things, Shakespeare explored the idea of gender. Shakespeare explored the idea of disguise and deception, and how we look the world and how we perceive the world, how a woman can get the power through her clothing or through her disguised appearance. So this theme is explored by Shakespeare, and we have discussed the play in detail, some symbols and some themes of this play, and that's all about this discussion for today. Thank you so much, Naqiya, for your participation in this program, and we will end this discussion here. And I am going to sum up this episode with an idea that it's all about how we perceive the world through our eyes. So we can get the idea of the other person or the character through her dressing. So this theme is explored by Shakespeare, and how he effectively used symbols. And if we talk about what we have discussed so far in these episodes, we have discussed his personal life, Shakespeare's personal life, Shakespeare's genres of writing, and Shakespeare's some famous plays like Hamlet and Othello. And in this episode, we have discussed his most celebrated play, most celebrated comedy play, Twelfth Night, or What You Will. So I hope you have got some knowledge about Shakespeare and his writing style, his themes, his the other things, like how he explored the things in his plays. And he was, if we talk about some introduction, then he was an English playwright, and he was also regarded as the greatest writer of English literature. He has wrote around 39 plays, 154 sonnets, and 3 long narrative poems. Also, his, if we talk about translation, then his plays has been translated into almost every major living language, and performed more often than any those of like any other playwriters. So this is his legacy, and that's why we have discussed, we are also discussing this Shakespeare in this age as well. So it is important to read literature so we can get the idea what people have, how people have lived, and how people are going to live in the future as well, and how we can navigate through different emotions. So this is all about this episode, and I am going to bid farewell. And this is your host Areeba Saleem. I will meet you with another episode of the World of Shakespeare. Till then, take care. Allah Hafiz.